Greetings, Kindred. I am Voivode Maquette, and welcome back to my world of darkness and another episode of the Thicker Than Water Recap. And I want to apologize. It's been about 3 weeks or so since I've done the last recap. We've actually had 2 games since the last one. Well, I should say actually since the last one uploaded. So it's actually probably been about, God, it feels like a month at this point. But we did have 2 game sessions that I just have not been able to have time to do the recap on, so I'm going to do them both right here. Because although big things happened, not many things happened. And I've really just not had the time to sit down and do this with wrapping up Protean on the level by level, and also a lot of traveling that I had to do this last couple of weeks, some family things going on, and holy God, I've just been busy. So we're going to go ahead and handle this right now. And I want to point out that in the first game session that I'm going to cover, the most that the characters did is they hung out at the Pub, which is a bar located on the grounds of Chicago University, which is, or the University of Chicago, which is why our background right now is the University of Chicago. This looks like it was an old converted church that they turned into a pub, but when the players walk in, they find Damien, the sheriff of Chicago, and lead guitarist of Baby's Chorus playing on stage. It was a very interesting night, which really was a lot of internal arguing about how much should be said in public and how loud people were talking. It was almost like an internal masquerade check when it came to the characters. Now, at one point in time, our dear Elle did end up calling Rosa Hernandez, and the entire wolf pack ended up showing up at the bar and making a nice rowdy scene, while Elle and Rosa spoke about a situation that was happening over at O'Hare National Airport involving a vampire by the name of Flyboy. And the fact that there might very well be some internal issues happening over there, because Flyboy does not exactly belong to the Camarilla, because he's a thin blood. And Flyboy has the most power right now, as a thin blood could, because he's controlling the entire international airport, one of the largest metropolitan airports in the country. And due to that, it's making a lot of people nervous, and they do not believe in his capabilities of keeping things under wraps. Another thing is that Rosa believes that there's actually a CIA investigation happening at O'Hare National Airport, and she's recruiting this group of anarchs, our coterie, to go and check to see exactly what's happening, to solidify safety for Elle personally, because she does a lot of the driving back and forth. She's not exactly one of the Chicago psychopomps, which are a group of kindred who are known to ferry vampires new to the city from one area to the other, but she is kind of like the vampiric Uber for the area. But also to gain points in Prince Kevin Jackson's eyes. So that is what they're being told to do. While they're there, however, it's such an interesting thing, because there's so much avoidance between the coterie. They're not really even a coterie. I really can't say that they are. There's a few here and there, but Justin's kind of just floating around, trying to do his own thing. William seems dead set on causing as much confusion as possible, and Tinia just wants to get things done and get out of there. So they end up, after a while, going to O'Hare National Airport and meeting with Flyboy. When they meet with Flyboy, he is so charismatic, and he speaks with them, and he's not as standoffish as they had expected, and he has some questions, like why this is going on, and that he'll look into it. He'll make sure that the CIA, if they are there, they get taken care of. And they're left with a feeling of completion, like they've accomplished something. Flyboy might have had some tricks up his sleeve when it came to talking with him, because he just sat there drinking a cup of coffee and listening to them talk and being as charismatic as he possibly could. They end up leaving. And that's the entire first night. I know, it's not much. It's not much to report on, but that meeting with Flyboy and that meeting with Rosa and the internal conflict between the group over what was too much for the masquerade and what was not was a very interesting go-between. Almost like a dance, watching the characters try to interact with each other in the way that they were. Now, on the second night, unfortunately, we did not have Serendipity, who plays Elle, or Daviga, who plays Annette. They had left town. And I do believe, yes, we also did not have Gwen, unfortunately, because Gwen was celebrating the 17th birthday of his oldest son. So, happy birthday on that one, if that's a thing. But the rest of the coterie ended up heading back to the pub again. I'm not really sure why, but this seems to be the place where they're happy going. Now, this was an open mic night for the characters at the pub. There was Baby's Chorus was not playing. However, they did see Damien sitting at a table faking to drink and listening to the local talent, because, as he said when they approached him, he's always looking for the next face of the chorus. They end up having an interesting talk with him, and at this point in time, the coterie that we have is William, Tinia, and Justin. And it was just a very calm, collected night where they got to speak with Damien. And when he realized that conversation was turning to that of a masquerade breaching nature, he went ahead and told the bartender that he was going to go ahead and take the green room, the back room where the band gets to prep, to have a private conversation with his friends so they could speak freely. I wanted to have the characters be able to talk to Damien without needing to censor themselves too much. And as much as I do enjoy that, how far can the players push it before they break the masquerade, I really wanted them to be candid with Damien at this point. So it was a very interesting conversation. They end up getting on his good side very well, I think, bonding with him in a fashion. They discussed music. They discussed the city. They also discussed Critias's classes, and they found out that Critias, their teacher, was in fact Damien's sire. And they spoke long and detailed about how Critias views Carthage and Kindred history, and how not many Kindred pass this finishing school, and the ones that don't disappear. So Damien is starting to like these guys. He doesn't want to see them end up as ash piles buried behind the college somewhere. So he warns them. He warns them about everything that's going on, that they need to go for as many points as possible. After a little while, though, the conversation turns a little bit more lighthearted, and they start discussing, somehow, I'm not even really sure how the concept came up, but the idea of different bloodlines, talking about minor clans. They were discussing how in the 80s, Chicago was just full of these non-clanned kindred that weren't exactly caitiff, but did tend to have strange abilities that Damien had never seen before outside. He had mentioned that there were some Toreador-like women who had come to Chicago at one point in the 80s and had given Baby's Chorus a run for their money because of their incredible singing abilities. He had talked about one instance where a small Sabbat pack had come in and attacked, and one of the random caitiff who had gone in with Balthazar, the old sheriff, to help force out these Sabbat, when the Sabbat had attacked and just brutalized Balthazar's hunting party, had laid his hand on them and healed him with a touch, and he could have sworn he saw something happen on that Kindred's forehead. I basically any idea of that I could mention on different bloodlines, I decided to mention just to give things a little bit of a flavor for how strange and unusual Chicago actually is in the Kindred nightlife. But that's it. That's pretty much all that happened. The very first night, they hung out at the pub and they talked to Flyboy. The next game, they hung out in the pub and they talked to Damien. Now, I do have some plans for the upcoming sessions and things that I plan on doing that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. And I'm going to try to do more of those recordings of the session and make sure they're better quality so that you guys can actually hear what's going on and stuff. But that is it. That is all I have for this recap. I hope that you guys are enjoying it. I'm sorry if this one was a little bit vague, but truthfully, not much occurred. But the things that did occur did end up being vital. I am Voivode Maquette. This is My World of Darkness, and thank you for joining me for the Thicker Than Water recap. Good evening.